Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on the show. I live in Montreal, Canada, currently traveling around the Mediterranean. I'm in the e-commerce space, currently have an affiliate marketing agency where we're mainly focused around creators. And I've been in the e-commerce space for 6 years now. I had multiple stores and started my own agency about a year ago.
Awesome. So I'm just curious more about your background. How did you kind of get into e-commerce in the first place?
Yeah, so I was a student, had loads of debt, and the 9 to 5 just didn't do it for me. And I need to figure out a way to pay my bills, obviously. So entrepreneurship is always, it was always a field that I knew was for me. And then I stumbled into e-commerce, just watching YouTube videos online. Started with the basic stuff that everyone goes through, just doing dropshipping, and then starting my own brand as well.
Awesome. So yeah, I'm just curious, in terms of your first brand early on, when you were doing drop shipping or something like other products, were you doing stuff on Shopify, Amazon? What did that kind of look like? If you can even share some the niches that you were selling, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've tried multiple stores, just like most of us in the e-commerce space had. The first one that I really had success with was a drop shipping store where we were selling cat products. So it was in the pet niche. That went pretty well for us. It was when dropshipping was kind of a big thing back then, and it was way easier than it is now. For now, I wouldn't recommend dropshipping to anyone, but it did work back then. And then after that, I started my own brand called Icy Therapy. So it was a cold therapy brand where we were selling ice bath. This was when cold therapy was really a trend. Joe Rogan was speaking about it on their podcast and everything. And this is really the big win for me in my e-commerce journey.
So yeah, I guess what happened with that company? Were you selling it out on a Shopify store? What did that kind of look like for you that then led you to pivot to kind of what you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's an interesting story, actually. So I was running the whole Shopify stores on my own. Basically, we were having trouble breaking out with Facebook ads, as a lot of e-commerces do. Just ads were getting really, really expensive. And one of the way that I dealt with that was actually through affiliate marketing. So when I was selling the ice bath businesses, we were barely breaking even on paid media. What really changed the trajectory for us was affiliate marketing, just bringing in loads of influencers, creators to talk about your brand and make tons of content around ice bath, cold therapy in general, and taking advantage of the whole trend just brought a lot of brand awareness for us. Yeah, so I needed to figure out a way to do this at scale, just bringing in loads of affiliates. And I built some systems around it to be able to scale outreaching to tons of creators at the same time and just building the whole brand ambassador armies, like I like to call them. And yeah, from there, started my own agency, implemented those systems for other e-commerces, and here we are.
So when you say affiliates, is that mostly through TikTok or Meta? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so it's mainly through Instagram that we were doing it at that time. We did a bit of TikTok as well, which really helped. But yeah, we were getting creators from TikTok and Instagram and just sending them ice baths and recruiting probably 20 to 30 affiliates every single week, getting them to post the content. And that's where the machine started rolling.
So I guess when somebody's launching a brand or just in general looking for influencers for affiliates, how do you kind of find the right ones? Because I feel like you have so many folks that are pushing lots of different products. It can be hard to find the right fit. So what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. There's a lot of tools out there that can help you with that. What we used was Modash. They have a really nice database of creators that you can just dig into and find. And there's other tools like Clay as well. a hype auditor. There's a variety of tools out there to be able to find them. And then it's all about finding the right systems as well to be able to scale. So it can really get chaotic very quickly when you're dealing with tons of affiliates. So you need proper systems to be able to handle those. I know a lot of people like to use just spreadsheets to keep track of everything, but we don't do that. We use CRMs where we keep track of every deals. And and we also had the outreaching systems to be able to pitch the affiliate offer to hundreds of affiliates every single week. So it's kind of a numbers game. As you know, creators are a little bit greedy. Sometimes they want to get paid upfront. We don't like going towards that trajectory unless they've made some sales before for us and they prove themselves. If we have the data to back it up, it does make sense. But other than that, we like sticking to affiliate. And we built the outreaching systems to be able to pitch to hundreds of affiliates every single week. We use some cold emailing tools like Smart Lead or Instantly. And it mainly goes through emailing.
And you were saying that when you were doing it, like for your company, that you were doing mostly Meta, but some TikTok. I guess like has that changed? I mean, obviously, TikTok with TikTok Shop and affiliates is a big thing nowadays. So how do you kind of like integrate or implement that for your current clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's very interesting because when we started the agency, we started focusing on Instagram. So everything that we did was through Instagram affiliates. And now everything is changing drastically in our agency and for our clients. We're basically pivoting towards a TikTok shop, full-on TikTok shop agency, just because everything with affiliates goes 20 times quicker on TikTok Shop. Everything is centralized. So you've got the outreaching tools directly within TikTok. You've got CRMs that you can download from their app store. And just the whole thing is centralized on TikTok, and you can get 20 to 30 videos a month that go viral and pretty easily depending on how big your brand is. So the whole affiliate system on TikTok Shop is something that we're moving into.
And I guess like for brands, like there's obviously certain brands out there that have like higher ticket, more expensive products. So how do you kind of like balance that out? Because obviously like if your products are several hundreds of dollars or even like in the thousands sometimes, it's not practical to send it out to like 100 people a week. So how do you kind of like balance that? Okay, like who should I send it to and how could that process actually be like, effective for me?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've got a little bit more expensive product or you just don't have the sampling budget, the quality of the creators that you select will be everything for you. So you want to look at stuff like their GMV and how many times do they post for their brands. So basically on TikTok Shop, you've got a ratio on there on the creator that you want to work with. And if he has, let's say, for example, a ratio of 70%, it means 70% of the product that he received, he actually posted a creative. So you need to look into that. But I think the most important thing is actually to look at their content creation skills, because you don't want to be mass sampling to tons of affiliates that don't bring any views. The goal is to have viral videos, and looking at the creation content skills of the creator, is what's going to change everything for you. So I'd say quality over quantity anytime.
For sure. And you were saying that when you were doing it, that paid just didn't make sense, but have you seen it or could you do it where you kind of like take some of that content and then run it as paid, content that's getting traction, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So once a video go viral, we use the paid media engine of TikTok. So we just take this barcode of the creator and we add it into the paid media engine. There's a thing on TikTok Shop that's very interesting. It's called GMV Max. So the way that it works, you put a target ROI. So let's say a target ROI of 3. The way that it's going to spend your budget is going to try to aim to spend the whole budget to target a ROI of 3. So if the algorithm see that you're way behind on your spending and you're not going to get the target ROI of 3, it's going to stop spending the money for you. So that's very helpful on TikTok Shop. Just repurposing those videos on paid media is very important. Other than that, also, so when I mentioned earlier that it's not worth it paying creators upfront. Once you see that creators that you've worked with are making some sales and they're bringing a lot of tractions, their videos are going viral, then it totally makes sense putting them on a retainer, asking them, for example, if they've got around 50,000 followers, what we do is we'd offer them a retainer of $300 for 30 videos a month. plus their affiliate commissions. So that's a really good way of getting the creators that are performing just to keep on creating content for you.
For sure. And you were saying earlier that you're based in Canada. I mean, obviously that you're traveling around now, but what does that look like for you in terms of clients that you're working with? Is this mostly for the US market? Is it international? Like, what does that breakdown kind of look like?
Yeah, so it's mainly North America and European markets. So we did launch a service recently where we actually help Canadian businesses and European businesses get into the US TikTok shop market. So as you know, TikTok shop currently in the United States, it's only for US businesses and for people that have some staff over there. So you need a US entity with someone in the United States that can manage the page for you. So yeah, we sorted that out for our customers in Europe and Canada, and we're currently offering that as a service. But yeah, it's mainly the Western market in general.
That's awesome. And then I guess in terms of certain niches, right? Because there's so many niches within e-com. So are there certain verticals where you kind of see more traction? Like there's some verticals where you're like, okay, this might not work as well. Like what are you kind of seeing from that perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently on TikTok Shop, health and wellness is crushing it. So there's a big trend for stuff like the digestive health, ashwagandha, which is a stress management supplement. So there's a lot of space for wellness supplements and also beauty. Beauty is performing very, very well. So I always recommend people that are starting in e-com to start with a consumable product if they want to hit the TikTok Shop market, just because the repeat purchase ratio is very high. And yeah, we're seeing businesses crush it on these fields. And on the other hand, I'd say products that are high ticket products perform a little bit. They have a little bit more difficulty performing on TikTok Shop. There is some brands obviously that are killing it, but I find the platform to be very price sensitive. Anything between $25 to $50 is fine, but for people that have products around $100 to $300 and up, I find that they have a little bit more trouble on TikTok Shop.
And then I guess like how do you measure overall growth like Mercs? I feel like at least for myself, when I see often like people on TikTok might see it's like a product and go like on Amazon and go buy the product. So how do you kind of like measure the overall growth like of the business?
Sorry, I didn't get the last part. It was cutting out a little bit.
Well, I was just curious, right? Because I feel like many people, I can just speak for myself, right? Because like I'll see something like on TikTok and then I go to Amazon and then I go and buy the product. So how do you kind of like measure like the overall growth? Because sometimes there isn't like direct attribution to the content and the creators might not get monetized, but it's still like getting sales for the business.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just got to keep track of everything. You keep track of your Shopify sales, of your Amazon sales, and what you're doing on TikTok Shop. So this is actually very interesting that you bring that up, just because for some of my clients, once they get a video go viral, they get even more sales on Amazon that they get on TikTok Shop itself. So it brings a lot of traction on other platforms. And it's very important to know as well that TikTok Shop is kind of new for everyone. It's still new for the consumer. So people usually trust more Amazon at this time than TikTok. So I see it as a multi-marketing channel and not just focused on one sales channel.
For sure. And when it comes to your clients, like what do you kind of look for? Like are you working with brands that have like a certain revenue number or certain traction on direct to consumer, Amazon, or brands that are just getting started? Like what do you kind of look for? Say like this is like, a good fit for me to go and partner with this client.
Yeah, absolutely. So the ideal client for us, if he's starting out, is that he got to be ready to be in the negative for 2 to 3 months. We tell this to all of our customer. It's like any other sales channel. It's very powerful, TikTok Shop, and there's a lot of potential on there, but it requires investment and obviously requires patience. So once you break the initial friction, which in my opinion takes around 3 months, obviously it's different for every client, but that's the time frame that we usually give clients. After the 3 months friction, that's where you can see sales booming and just traction getting built in your store. So yeah, so it requires a little bit of patience, but yeah.
Makes sense.
So,
and I guess like for like a newer brand, right? Because when you're brand new and first starting out, you really have no data, right? You're making lots of like assumptions. So how do you kind of like look at that? Because you might say, hey, listen, like your customer could be a woman, it could be a man, it could be of this age, right? So how do you kind of like test these things? Say, okay, like what, like, who's actually going to be the ideal customer?
So you're talking for businesses on TikTok Shop. What's their ideal
Correct.
customer? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
So
how do you kind of figure that out? Yeah, because I think like, especially for ones that are brand new, it's more
mhm.
challenging to kind of figure that out.
Yeah. So you'll see it pretty quickly. I think that's the beauty of TikTok and the way that their ad engine is set up. It will just target the right people for you once you start getting some data. So, for example, we've got a brand that we're currently working with called Fry Away. And we weren't sure which audience was going to buy at first. So the customer did tell us her target audience and stuff, but TikTok Shop, the way that it targeted the audience weren't exactly what we expected. So it targeted a lot of the Black American community. So that was a big market. So the product is it's actually a product that helps you recycle oil after you fry. So yeah, it's just letting the algorithm decide for you. You'll see it pretty quickly. So this happened with a lot of our customers actually, where we thought that the audience that TikTok was going to target was going to be the same for as Meta, for example, but the results showed otherwise. So it's just letting the algorithm work for you.
For sure. And obviously, getting to this point, when you're in, like, what's been the best way that you feel like that you've been able to grow this business? Like, what have you done to kind of get clients? You go to conferences, cold outreach ads. Like, what has really just, worked for you thus far?
Yeah, absolutely. So partnerships were huge for us. So just providing value to, for example, tech providers that are in this space. So there's a lot of softwares out there that brands just don't know how to use e-commerces. They're not very familiar with it. They don't have the experience that we have. So partnering with tech providers and yeah, providing mutual value to both of our partners mutual way. That's been huge for us. Going to events as well, cold outreaching. It's just a combination of everything.
That's awesome. So obviously, now we're kind of like at the halfway point here in 2025. So what are you focused on for the rest of this year?
Yeah, so we're transiting into a full-on TikTok shop agency. We're moving slowly from the Instagram side. But we're still going to do it, obviously, just because some people, their product is just not a fit for TikTok. That's just how it is. So there's still a lot of potential on Instagram, and I'm sure they're going to move forward with social commerce at one point or another. But yeah, just transitioning full on into TikTok Shop and taking advantage of the momentum that's building on there and the investments that TikTok is putting behind it. So right now, TikTok is heavily investing into social commerce. They really want to make this a success. So I think it does make sense moving towards that way. Yeah, they just make it easier for businesses to succeed on there.
Makes sense. So if you could go back in time to before you started this business, what is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew?
There's so many things I can talk about. So yeah, I think the biggest advice would be don't work on your own. Just build some partnerships and find people that complement your skills. Just yeah, it's very difficult to advance on your own in the whole entrepreneurship space. So yeah, find people that complement your skills and build a solid team and just move forward from there and build partnerships.
That's good advice. If somebody's watching this video, do you mind sharing your website, social media, I guess best ways to get in contact with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find us at livanoagency.com. So Livano agency.com. You'll see there's a form on there that you can outreach to us. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. So name is Rabii, Rabii. Last name is BaBou. You can find me on there.
So, well, Rabii, thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan.